Hello everyone, it's Diane Fitzpatrick here, and I am very excited to share with you something that I found recently on the internet through Alice Keeler. And it is a rubric and a rubric tab, which was an add-on here, Rubric Tab Addon, that creates rubrics from a template for you and makes your life so easy. And you can combine this with Google Classroom assignments or any assignment that you have for that matter. And it's really highly modifiable. In here you can change the descriptions, obviously. You can change the possible points it's out of. You can change the weighting of each of these. So maybe you have one communication area, one thinking, one knowledge, and so on. And so you can change the weighting if you had those weighted differently in your assignment and whatnot. And there is also a tab here where you would put your students, your class list, and the email address of all your students. I would just copy and paste this from another spreadsheet that I already have set up for my students. But before you go ahead and do this, and I'm going to put a copy of this rubric template in the description underneath the video here so that you guys can all have this. It actually starts with level 4s here. Alice has level 4s, but I got the idea to put zeros in here so that you don't accidentally send student a rubric that says level 4 across the board. So if a student hasn't submitted the work yet and you send these, the student actually doesn't get perfect. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make a copy of this template. You're going to go to File and make a copy. Now I've already made a copy called Sample Rubric for Video, and I started to put some descriptors in here of my rubric. And literally, I just took this from the Growing Success Achievement Chart. So in Ontario, as you know, we use Growing Success, and this is the achievement chart for science and technology, grades 1 to 8, and I just randomly chose, I believe, communication for different audiences. So I copied and pasted the criteria here. Communication with different audiences. So, and then I put in the level 4 description, the level 3, level 2, level 1, literally cut and pasted from here. And as you see, I could go on to put the other criteria in my rubric as I need. Several of you probably already have rubrics set up, so you can just copy and paste right from your rubrics right into this one. If you have more than 4 criteria in your rubric, you can copy one of these rows. Let's say I wanted to have 6. I'll tell you what I'm doing here. I highlighted the entire row. This blue little square here that you can see where my mouse is called a fill handle. I'm going to grab that fill handle and copy down 2 rows. And you can see I just added 2 more rows of criteria for your rubric. So now this particular assignment has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 areas, and I can go ahead and modify them all. Okay, so I'm going to want to start at the top. You are not going to want to put a student name here, because the add-on, Rubrics tab, will put the student name in there automatically from your roster for you. I'm going to put the assignment name here. In this particular case, I'm going to call this Sample Assignment for Video. And I think I want this assignment out of 50 marks for my students. So as you see, you put in a mark. This could be 100. This could be 10. Whatever you want, you put in there. So I said 50, let's go with 50. Now, in Ontario, as you know, our achievement chart, our level 1 is not 65%, so I'm going to change that to 55. I'm going to change my level 2 to 65. I'm going to change my level 3 to 75. And, you know, my level 4, I'm going to just leave it at 100 for now. And if I want to change the weighting, as you see, because I added 2 more criteria, it automatically changed the weighting. It used to be 25% when there was only 4 of them. It changed the weighting for me. But if I wanted to change them, this one was only going to be worth 10%, but you would have to make sure that you see it gives you an error message that this all needs to add up to 100. So let's say this one is worth 20, and this one is going to be worth 20, and I want this one worth 10. And, you know, I want to delete this row actually because it's too much. So now I have 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. It's telling me I'm going to be short 20 points. So I don't know, let's just make this one a 3. You get the idea. You can change this and it's going to let you know if you don't have 100% here. So you're going to set up this rubric with your criteria. You're going to change the weightings as you wish here, and you're going to put in the scores as you see fit, and then you're going to go to your roster here and you're going to add your students' names. I'm going to say Alice Keeler because she's a rock star. I put my dog, my bunny. Let's pretend they're all students in my class, and I'm going to put Donald Duck, and I'm going to say Minnie Mouse. These are my students. You're then going to want to fill in the email address, your email address. I'm going to just put my email address for all of these because, as you know, this really isn't a class of students. And anyone who's familiar with spreadsheets know you can just change column widths and whatnot. Especially on this particular one, when I first cut and paste, it was really skinny and it made this column really wide, so I just made that a little wider so that it was nicer. You can do that with all of them. That's up to you. So, not to waste any more time, now I'm going to need to run this script so that it makes a tab for each of my students. I did a test before making this video, and here's a particular example. So I had my template. The only thing is I didn't put any criteria in my rubric, but I was fooling around with weightings and numbers and whatnot. And I put in a roster of my favorite students, Matt Damon, Denzel Washington, Halle Berry, and I ran the script, and it automatically added a rubric for each student and automatically put the name of the rubric at the top for each. So Matt Damon was phenomenal. And Denzel Washington, I went, as you see, you give them different levels and their mark changes and so on and so forth. So I use this as a sample to begin with. Okay, how do you get the add-on? Click on add-ons here, just like any other add-on. Click on Get Add-on, and you're going to type in Rubric Tab here. And once you get that, you're going to click on the little free, download the add-on, and whatnot. I already have the add-on. You can see it here called Rubric Tab. So I'm just going to go ahead and open that and hit Create Rubrics. It's going to ask me for authorization. I'm going to say yes. It's going to say what account. I'm going to use that one, and of course I'm going to allow all this stuff. I should probably read that once in a while and figure out what I'm signing. Probably signing my firstborn away. AliceKeeler.com. Go there. I highly recommend it. So now I'm at the stage where I've already created and modified this rubric. Now I want to create a rubric for every student on my roster. So I'm going to hit Create Rubrics, and you're going to watch down here as all of my students just populate. Now I have a rubric ready for each of my students. So there's Alice's, there's Mo's, there's Bunny's, there's Donald's, and Minnie. They each have a rubric. So when I'm ready to assess Alice's work, well, she was a brilliant, so I'm going to give her a level 4, and so on. I'm going to give her a level 4 across the board because I looked at her work carefully, and of course I want to make sure I give her very descriptive feedback. So you're going to type in all of the descriptive feedback that you can for your students here. So that's Alice's feedback. Mo, well, he struggled a little bit. He's a little bit odd in that area of communicating. He's a dog, so he doesn't communicate very well. He communicates with limited effectiveness. You can probably hear him crying right now in the background, and so on. Do the same thing all the way down for all of your criteria. And now Mo, once I've done this, he gets 37 out of 50 or 73% overall. Let's give Mo some awesome comments. And Bunny, you need some areas of improvement. Obviously, you're going to put in proper comments with descriptive feedback so your students have goals and they know the overarching learning goals and they can have areas to improve in. So I'm just kind of goofing around here. Same thing for Bunny. I can go ahead and assess Bunny and so on and so forth. And the same for Donald and Minnie. I'm just going to leave the rubric as it is. Once I've done that, I'm going to go down to email rubrics because I am now done assessing all of my students. Alice is done, Mo, Bunny, so on. I'm going to say email rubrics. As you can see, this is starting to run and already one is populated here. If I go to my email, you can actually see rubrics from my earlier assignment that have come in. So here is Matt Damon's rubric that got emailed to me, as you remember. Anyway, I hope that helped and you enjoy this rubric tool from Alice Keeler as much as I'm going to.